Okay, turn 6. Alright, I goofed here. These guys are not turned in the right direction to fire. I don't know why that marker's there. Actually, that was supposed to mark them firing. They're facing the wrong direction to fire, and arquebuses cannot fire indirectly, so they couldn't fire over them anyway. So these guys should not have taken damage last turn. Alright, so these two groups, they can't charge because they're in rough terrain. They're going to approach each other and attack. This group is going to have to try to indirect fire. If their half moves don't have them meet, this group is going to indirect fire. Well, it will pass through indirect fire on this group. This group is going to turn in a bleak turn, so they'll take a quarter move. They'll take half their movement in the field and then move to try to engage these guys from the side. This group of bowmen is going to fire on that group. This group of bowmen is going to move up in support. This group of bowmen is they can't really see each other well because the crest of the hill is in the way. They're both climbing up opposite sides of the hill, so they can't fire on them right now. But they can see enough that they know they're coming, so they're going to stop, have pass-through fire, and then, if they can, fire again in the missile phase. This group is moving to engage. They cannot charge on the hill. This group faces, well, we'll get to them in a minute. This group is going to wheel around and attempt to fire on them. They're going to do an about face and face them. They're going to do a right face, well, they're facing this way, so left face for them, and attempt to move and engage. I don't know if they have enough movement to do that. The guards will escort them. Let's see, will they make it off the board this turn? The guards can only move 9. They won't quite make it to the edge, but they'll be on the very edge. This group is going to continue to move on to the battlefield. This group is going to yell at that group to move this way so that they can wheel around and charge. And this group is facing in this direction, so they're going to take any opportunity they can to fire. This group will try to fire on that group. This group is going to try to left face so that they will have an effective look. And this group is going to move to from column to line, so they're more along this way. And I probably will end up moving these guys down just a little, just because I think the figures take up more room than the unit would. But that's just an adjustment on my part. And I believe that's it. So first we need to see if these groups can all do their movement. So seven or better. No. Here. No. Here. No. Here. Yes, they can move. And this group's not moving. They're just going to fire when they can. Actually, we'll have them try to go from column to line, because they're still in column formation, more or less. Yes. So that'll use up their whole move. They'll have to roll to shoot if they get a target opportunity. Alright, so let's do some moves. Okay, so half moves. They move 9, they'll move 4.5. That'll be about 2 1/4. So roughly to there. This group, their half move will be 6. So they will make contact at the halfway mark. But before that contact, this group will get pass-through fire. So we'll go ahead and do that. They are in a double line, 15. So they will have a group of 8 and a group of 7. Those both fire on the same chart. On a 1 or a 2 on the die, each group will do 3 damage. On a 3 to 6, they'll each do 4. So that's a total of 8 damage. So they do 8. So that takes off 1 completely and reduces another one to 4. So this group will do a pivot about their middle. For a quarter move, they'll take a half move. And so that uses up their first half of movement. So this group is going to move. They have a total of 24. So even on the rough terrain, they're going to make contact. So this group will get their pass-through fire, and then this group moves up and makes contact. We'll say that's a full contact there. All right. Pass-through fire. Okay, I was looking at the wrong column for them. They did, instead of this group doing 4 damage each of the 2 groups doing 4 groups, that was unarmored. These would be half armor and shield. So it'll be 1 less 3. So they did 6 total instead of the full 8. Alright, so pass through fire for them. These are light, so they are unarmored. So this will be the 3 or 4. Let's see. They're only going to get... I'm considering this one long column, even though they're doubled up here. So they're only going to get 4. So 4 archers firing. So there'll be 1 or 2. 2. They do 2 damage. That should be 4. All right, so this group is moving out of the way. Have them do 3 there. And this group will pivot out the center, so that'll take a quarter of their move. And then move in and attack. Let's see, that would be in... That'd been less 45 degrees or less, so they can charge. So that would take their... Let's see, I didn't decide what they were going to do, did I? No, because they could have tried to attack there, or do a formation change to get their compact formation, which is more damaging. So I'm going to say 1, they were going to attack them. 2 to 4, they were going to attack them. Now 5 or 6, they're going to do their formation change. So they were going to attack them. So they turned, and they'll move, and they'll meet that charge. And the Swiss are immune to the charge effect from cavalry. Well, actually, Swiss, it's not just Swiss, it's anyone armed with a pike. Now, if they were in their tight formation, they would not be able to attack them frontally. But they're not. They're still in the kind of a loose formation. They haven't adopted their compact formation that has to be at least 5 across. Right now, they're just 2 across at the front. So, and they will not be able, in the heat of battle, to get that compact formation. So it'll be a more loose formation. And as a result, they will not count as armored foot, well, heavy foot on the defense. Which means that they probably would have tried to adopt close order. So I'm going to retrograde this for a minute, move them back, turn them this way, because it's not going to have much of a difference because they're being caught during a formation change. but it does mean that the cavalry, when they hit, will hit full across. Go ahead and pick that up since they moved. Based on where they started, the wheel would have taken 6. So they won't make quite full contact until the end of their second half of movement. Alright, so this group is going to move. It's 2. And then kind of turn again to be facing toward the battlefield. I went ahead and gave them their full move because they're not going to be affected by anything until these battles ensue. And that would be at the end of full movement. Alright, so this group is reorganizing into line. That will give them more effective firepower. And then finally, this group is turned, and this group uses half their move also to turn, and this group will be almost escorted off. So next would be missile fire. Alright, a couple things I realized while I was putting down movement markers for everybody. These guys were actually facing that way, so they couldn't move this way to get out of the way. So what they're going to have to do is move them back to basically where they were and have them do a right face and essentially move to here to get out of the way. It'll have the same effect. But these two groups are now facing each other, and I didn't move this group at all. So they're going to be right up on top of those guys. I've gone ahead and given everybody their movement markers that they need. And I didn't move them. Now that's the question is the other half of their movement going to enable them to make contact with this cavalry unit? So they're 4.5, and they are 5 back. So they're going to come up just short, which means they are probably going to get charged next turn. And the other thing is that heavy cavalry has done 3 rounds of melee. Now, they're fatigued just from their 5 consecutive rounds of movement. But it raises a question that's kind of been raised on a Discord I'm part of, and it was raised by me, so I did a blog post on it, is there's nothing in the fatigue rules that says you can only be 1 level fatigued. So it was sort of a idea I had that you could have multiple levels of fatigue. And so I'm going to go ahead and try that here. So they're going to get a 2nd level of fatigue, which will make them fight. Which will make them fight even 2 levels below. So they'll be fighting as light cavalry now. So there will not be melee here, but there will be melee here, here. On the second half of their move, they would have moved around, so they're straightforward. Melee here, melee here, melee here. And since both of these groups had not moved half their movement, they're going to kind of square up with each other. So it's going to be a straight-on attack both ways, 2 deep. Now these are longbowmen, so they will not get a 2nd rank of attack. So they'll be 15 against 15 over here. This group, this is the initial contact, so they will be a front line. Now both these groups do have pikes, so they will fight 2 rows deep. So this would be 12 on 12, and then the 2nd row, so it's going to be 24 on each side. And now that I think of it, this group didn't take their second half move, so they will be another, well, let's see here, they did a quarter move for a turn, so that would take 3 of their 12, well, doubled, so, because they're in the rough terrain. So they take 6 of their 12, so they got 6, half is 3, so 3 puts them there, and they are more than 3 away, so they cannot be drawn into this melee. But we do have to shoot first. This group was shooting at them. They've got an angle from here, so they're going to be able to fire 2 ranks deep, 30 across, shooting at this group. Now this group was going to fire on this group, but I don't know with their move if they're too far away, and they are just too far away. And then this group was going to fire on this group. So we'll have missile fire here, and potentially, if they can activate, missile fire here. And this group was going to fire there. They could not roll to move. Can they fire? They could fire. The front 2 ranks could fire there, so that you could get, well, no, that's their turn, their team. Yeah. So they can get, so it's up to 45 degrees, so that's 9 degrees, so 45 would be about there. So, well, they're facing that way, so 45 would be, so they can fire all the way back to here. So you can get essentially 2 rows firing, so that will be a total of 12 if they can fire. But they have to roll. Well, they're not being attacked, so they will get to fire, and we'll just see if they're accurate. This group, no one's coming toward them, so they won't have to roll to fire, so they will roll to see just how effective they are. Yeah, and despite my sheet here, I keep going out of order, so apologies for that. All right, let's get some dice and do some dicing. So this group has 12. We'll measure to the center. So they're going to be all going to be in that 12 to 18 range. Yeah, they're all going to be in that 12 to 18 range. So they will get a hit on a 5 or better. And we've got 12 to roll. So let's see. See if we can get the dice tray in here. Got 12 dice here. 5 or better. 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. So this group is going to take 4 hits. Take them off the near group, so they lose 4. And then this group is going to be firing 12 at them. They are so we're going to say these 6 will be closer than 12, and these 6 will be between 12 and 18. So the 6 from 12 to 18, needing 5 or better. Oh, that's 7, so let's re-roll that. 6. 1, 2 hits. And then the next group, because they are a little closer, they'll be firing 4 or better. So a total of 6 hits. So that's going to take off that group. So let's see. Does that knock them below 50%? And then they have to make a morale check. They started with 30. They have 14 left. So yes, that knocks them just below their threshold for excessive casualties check. They are They're checking morale as light horse now. So they need a 6 or better. And so they stay on the battlefield. And since their threshold is 50%, they won't have to make that check again. They'll have to, their 50%, if they lose 50% more, they'll just all be gone. So now the longbows, we've got 30. They're in double line, so they can all fire, both groups. 30 against, although they can't fire because that group's too distant. So 30 against this group. That'll be 3 groups of 10 against unarmored. They will for sure do 4 each. If they roll a 3 to 6 on the dice, they will do 5 each for each group. So 4, 8, 13. 13 casualties for this group. Let's see, that'll cut them down to 17. And now they will have to make a morale check. And since they are peasants, they will have to make an 8 or better on this die roll. And they do, so they stay on the field, even after getting pierced with many, many arrows. All right, melee time, melee time. So this group will be in their compact formation. These groups fight, these fight as armored foot. These fight as heavy foot. Both groups are going to be rolling 24 dice. The armored foot against heavy foot will get 1 die each, 5 or better to hit. The heavy foot against armored foot, 1 per 2 men, and only on 6s. So these are hitting on 5s. They roll for each individual. These are rolling 1 per 2. They go 6s. So let's do the heavy foot first. So they're going to get 24. They have 24 men fighting, 12 men, 12 dice, 6s. 2 hits. Now this group is going to roll 24 dice, being on 5s. 1, let's see, that's 6 hits there. All right, that's, I'm 1 die short. All right, so 6 hits for this group. 7, 8, 9, and then roll 1 more, 2 more. So 9 hits, and then they need to roll 1 more die because they were a die short. And they got another hit, so that gives them 3 hits. So 3 hits for them, 9 hits for this group. So that was pretty devastating. All right, so we'll go ahead and do their morale. They lost 3, they lost 9. They win the difference in losses, 6 times 6. So that's 36. Whew. They have more remaining. They have a total of 12 more remaining, so that goes up to 48. So their morale is 5. Their morale is 9. So for these 15, well, actually, before we do anything, they have lost more than half their group. They need to do an instability check. That may make everything else moot. So, heavy foot, they need a 7 because they are Flemish. They get a +1 to the roll. And so they pass. So we continue. they already have a difference of 48. Yes, they already have a difference of 48 to this side. These are 9, these are 5, so the difference for these groups, which are the same size, is 4 per man. So 4 times 15 is 60. Plus the 48 puts us well over 100. This group surrenders. So they might have been better off failing their check and running the fight another day. All right, now this group, they are not in their tight formation because they were caught in a formation change. So they will not fight. They will not. They normally attack as armored foot, defend as heavy foot, but they won't. They count as light foot. And because they were caught in a formation change, they will count as one class less, which will knock them down to armored foot, which will knock them down to give them a +1, essentially, instead of fighting light foot. That's because they are considered flanked, and flanked gives them, no, I take that back. They're not counted as one less because they're caught in a formation change. They go up 1. So instead of having armored foot versus light horse, you're going to have light foot versus what's considered medium horse. So, looking at our chart, we have light foot versus medium horse will be light foot versus medium horse, 1 per 3. They need a 6+, but they are able to attack 2 ranks deep because they do have their pikes. So they will have a total of 15 dice. No, they will have, all right, so they've got 30, 1 per 3, 10. They will have 10 dice. Make sure I have 10 dice here. Looking for 6s. No 6s. All right, medium horse. Let's make sure that was right. Medium horse versus light foot. 2 die per man, so 15 on the front. That'll give them 30 dice and 4+ for a hit. So this is 11. So let's just do 10. Do 10 3 times. No, that's not right. Try that again. Yes, 2 dice per man. So 30 dice. So 10 3 times. Needing 4s. That's 3 hits. That is 6 more. That's 9 hits. $10, $11, $12. So 12 hits. So they lose 12. So let's see. That is Swiss check instability on 50%. So they still have more than half their group. So they have to do that check. So we do the post-battle morale. They did 12 casualties to none. So roll times a die roll. 3. So that's 36. Plus they did 12 more casualties. That's up to 48. All right, so 48 difference. Swiss are 9. Light horse are 6s. So 9 times 18 versus 6 times 18 for the matching groups. 9 times 18 versus 6 times 18 is a difference of 3 per man, which is going to be 48 in their favor. So that cancels out the difference in remaining and the difference in casualties. So it means that these 12 times 6, 72 is the difference between the two scores. So 72 on the morale means that they retreat 1 move. Now their move is 12. And this is with the backs to the enemy, so they're turned. They will hit this group, and both groups will be disordered. And they will have to spend a turn rallying. If they're forced to move, they will have to roll immediately. So first of all, let's mark the melees. They surrendered. This is largely unnecessary here. They meleeed. And this group can continue their charge. They started here, and their charge will take them down to here. So that's going to induce a second round of melee with this group. And let's see, let's pull these markers out of the way, move their markers over here, put their markers over here, and this group will catch this group. So now this group has their backs to them, so they cannot attack back. And this group is disordered. And the rules don't say what that means because they're still facing forward. I'm going to count that as the same as being disordered, being caught in a line change. So they'll fight them at one level more as medium horse, and they will fight them as medium horse because they're hitting them from the back. They will get to attack back. They won't, but they will only get to attack with the front rank. So since they're in 2 lines, this will be 6 on 6 here. This will be 18 on 18. This will be, 9 on 9 here. So all of this is going to be medium horse versus light foot. So here is 6 medium horse versus 6 light foot. The light foot will get 2 die and need 6s. No. The medium horse, the 6 medium horse, will get 2 dice each. No, 2 dice each. Yes, 2 dice each and need 4s. So it will be 12. I found my other die, so this is 12 dice, 4 or better. So that is 6 hits. Which is not 25% of 30. So that's not enough to trigger an instability check, but they will have to have a regular morale check. So this group is going to be 18 dice needing 4s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was 12, and this is 6 more. And they get 3 more hits. So a total of 9 hits. So additional melee markers. So now we go to morale. So this group is considered light foot for the purpose of morale. So they have 4 each. Well, first let's do the difference. They did 6 to 9 times 4 is 24. And then they have 6 more. Oh, so here they have 12 to 6, so they have 6 more. So that's a total of 30 difference. The Lightfoot, 4 times 24 is 96. So 96 minus 30, a difference of 66 so far. And then these 6, counting as light horse, is 36. So that's actually a difference of 30 in their favor, which is fallback half move for this group of cavalry. So they're going to fall back 12 inches, which is going to put them right on top of these guys. But that is in good order. They are still facing forward. So now this group, they did 9 to 0 times 5 is 45. Plus they have 9 more, that's 54. So we'll just put that right there, 54. And then the difference between them, they have, Swiss are still 9. So they are 9 times 9 is 81. So that 81 from 54, let's see, 63, 72, 81. So 27 difference in favor of the Swiss before we calculate 27 difference. So now we have 18 times 6 is 108. So 27 minus 108 is 81. So a difference of 81, which means this group routes 1.5, and since they're routing into these guys, they will also route 1.5. So it's 12 inches plus 18 plus a half is 18. That will take them right to the edge of the board. And I should have rolled to see if they could fight back, because on a 1 they did. Okay, and it didn't matter for them because they weren't going to be able to fight back anyway, because they had their backs to them. So now these 2 groups are routed. They have to, next turn they have to, and this group can continue their charge. So their charge is 30 inches. They started there, so they're gonna hit them a 3rd time. So this time they're hitting all of them in the back, so this group will not get to fight back at all. It will just be the cavalry. This will be their 3rd melee. At the end of their 3rd melee, all these groups will be fatigued. This group won't, depending on what's left. So it's still the light foot, medium foot. So we have 3 on 3 here. So they'll get 6 dice, needing force, and only 2 hits. And this group will be 6 on 6, and they will also be getting 2 dice each and need force. That should not be there. So 5 hits. That's going to knock them down to just 4 dudes. So now this group is easily going to get over 100 because 4 times 9 is just 36. They lost 5 guys times 2, that's 10. They have 8 more, that's 18 off of their 36. So that's down to 18, and they've got more than 18. So, well, no, let's look. 6 times 12 is 72. 72, 18 from 72 is 36. 18 from 72 is 60, 52, 53, 54, which is back 1 move. But they are already routed, so they're going to route off the board essentially. Well, depending on what this group does. Let's see what this group does before we decide that. So this group lost 2 times 5 is 10. They have a difference of 16 in their favor, so that's 6 in their favor so far. Four times 22 is 88 for a total of 94. So 94 difference. And then this group is 6 times 6 is 36. So that will take us down to 58. So 58 difference in their favor, which means that these horse will go back 1 move in good order. So this group is in good order. This group was going to retreat, but they can't, they're blocked. But they're all still routed and will have to rally. And then now everybody gets, well, actually this group gets an additional melee marker for the archers. These other groups are going to get fatigue markers. This group fought twice. This group fought 3 times. Plus they still have the movement from the other unit. So that was a lot of combat. And this melee can continue next round because they retreated into them. They were standing fast. The retreat stops. And so on. So that leaves this combat here. There's no charging. This is light horse versus light foot. It's going to be 15 versus... Well, it's 15 versus 15 because there's just 1 in the back of this group instead of 3. All right, a couple of things I've got to fix here. I had to go back. You see I put some markers on here for the ones that have surrendered and to give me some directionality here. I had said that these guys couldn't fire on these because they were too far distance, but they could have fired on them on the pass-through fire segment. So we're going to go ahead and do that and any morale repercussions from that. And then we're going to get back to this, to doing the morale for this melee. Alright, so we've got 30 firing on unarmored, but they're having to fire over indirect fire because they have people blocking their way. I don't think I did that here, so they probably got too many casualties, but we're not going to reverse that. So they will count as half armor, half shield. We'll have 3 groups of 10, and the die roll doesn't make any difference with 9 or 10 against half armor or half shield, so it's 3 each, so it's going to be a total of 9 casualties to this group. So we'll go ahead and pull those 9 off. So 9 out of 30, that's going to be more than 25%, so they're going to have to do a instability morale check because of excess casualties, and they need to roll an 8 or better on 2d6, and they do. So they're fine. Alright, so now for the morale. So we've got 2 sides. Even though these are 2 different units, they'll count as one side. And one other thing, I had to go back. I'd said they had lost 9. They actually lost 8. So they lost 8. They lost 6. So that's a total of 14 casualty differential times the die roll times 2. So that'll be 28. And then remaining, we have 30 on this side. We have 34 on this side, so a difference of 4. So that's 12 different in favor of the light cavalry. So the longbowmen, they have a morale value of 4 times 24 is 96. And then these 10, they have a value of 9 each. That's 90, so that's going to be 186. And now the light horse, have a value of 6. 6 times 30 is 180. So that's a difference of 6 in favor of the light horse, and 6 means that melee will continue on the next turn. And one other thing, why I'm second guessing myself, I'm not going to experiment with the double fatigue. We're just going to have 1 level of fatigue. So we'll do with that. So these guys will be fatigued and be operating as medium horse until they can rest. So that's going to lead us to this final melee to resolve here. So we're going to have and they will have to do, since they got reduced below half, they will have to do a stability check, but that takes place after all melees. I think I did that wrong on an earlier turn. These guys don't have instability yet because they're not down a quarter yet. So this is going to be 30 light foot against 28 light horse. Light foot versus light horse is 1 die per 2. Will actually be 15 and 14. 15 and 15. They're nose to nose. 15 to 15 with the back ranks won't participate in combat. So 15, they have 1 per 2. So that'll be 7 dice. They need 6s. So let's up the die tray here. So rolling 7 dice. They got 2 6s, so they will have two more to this. Now the light horse versus Lightfoot is 2 per man, and they need 5 or more. So they have 15, so that'll be 30. So let's see here, I'll do groups of 10. The first 10, 2 hits. Second 10, 4 hits for a total of 6. And then the third 10, 4 more hits for a total of 10 hits. So 10 to 2, so they'll take one of those. And 10 will knock them down by their threshold for morale, for excess casualties. Alright, so the difference in casualties is 8 in favor of the light horse, times the die roll is 48. Alright. The difference in the number left, we match up. They will have 4 more. So that'll give them another 4 on top of their 48, 52. And now Lightfoot, 4 times 22 is 88. So 88 subtracting 52 from 88 will give 36. So that's in favor of the archers. And now the value of the light horse is 26 times 6. 156. So that's going to be 120 to their favor. So this group surrenders. Which leads to the interesting question, do they disintegrate from instability after they've surrendered? I'm going to say no. But we will do an instability check for these, since they have gone below the 50% threshold. So for Swiss, they need a 5 or better on 2d6. And they don't get it. So they do have a way to escape, so they will go this way. I'll remove them between turns, so I don't knock stuff over on camera again.